The next speaker is Osman ÇETİNKAYA. Professor ÇETİNKAYA, your presentation, please. Are you with us, Osman? Okay.
Ben hazırım.
Nice to meet you.
Well, I am ready.
Ben konuşmamı Türkçe yapacağım.
Well, I'm going to deliver my speech in Turkish language. So, Mr. Sergey Terinsky, the chair of our session, and also the organizers, all the institutions, agencies, and universities. I would like to thank you very much in advance. In fact, with Mr. Chair, we were together very shortly, for a very short time, maybe we will remember. Today I will be talking about the medicinal leech collection in Turkey. As it is known, the leeches are invertebrate aquatic animals, and mainly they are in muddy and aquatic areas. They have different diets. So the difference in diet is related to the blood-sucking habit of the leeches. In fact, this is also the topic of today, the medicinal leeches and the blood-sucking practice. And as you heard in the previous presentation, the medicinal leeches have a very long history. We have already looked at the history in this regard. But I should say that in medicine, complementary medicine, in veterinary medicine, and also in certain tests, they are used as model organisms. They are also used in pharmacology, bioassays, cosmetics, and neurobiological studies.
Well, when it comes to medical studies, medical practices, studies led to the adoption of a regulation and then approval of the FDA accordingly. And this way, this medicinal and complementary and traditional medicine has been expanded around the world. Well, we know that the demand for medicinal leech is on rise, and also medicinal leech sector is creating jobs for the people, and we also know that the researchers also are interested in the medicinal leech, and also there is high interest. There is high importation and exportation demand for the leeches. That's why we wanted to cover this topic in today's webinar extensively. And as mentioned in the previous presentations, Turkey has a remarkable biodiversity, and Turkey is just at the core, at the heart of the leech biodiversity. Europe, Eurasia, North Africa species. They are also harbored by Turkey. That's why Turkey is harboring a nice biodiversity. And Turkey is not only a country with rich biodiversity, is also a country with long history of use of leeches for medicinal purposes. And also Turkey is a country with long history of trade of this species. And leeches that are needed for medicinal purposes are collected from the nature, from wetlands, by traditional methods generally. But in the last 2 decades or so, aquaculture has also been on the agenda of the country, so that leeches can be bred and can be produced and can be introduced and placed on the market, both domestic and international markets. And when it comes to medicinal leech biodiversity in Turkey, we need to elaborate on this as follows. As mentioned in the previous presentations, in Turkey, there is a species of Hirudo verbana, and we can see this species in almost every wetland in Turkey, which are providing favorable environmental conditions for hosting this leech. And in recent years, Mr. Salam et al. Showed that in the southeastern Turkey, this endemic species has also been reported, identified. Hirudo suluki is endemic to Turkey, and it is found only in the southeastern Turkey, thanks to the efforts of our colleagues. And this is why today in my presentation, I'm going to evolve my discussions generally around Hirudo verbana. And then we have also the Hirudo suluki, which is called the southeastern Turkey species locally. And where do we have these as leeches in Turkey, you might ask? So let me kindly walk you through the map, which shows the locations of these leeches in Turkey. Well, collection of leeches happens all around the country in Turkey, but when it comes to commercial licensed collection, we can talk about Marmara region here, especially on the left-hand side at the bottom, left-hand corner, upper corner, you can see the locations, especially to the south of Marmara Sea, especially Karacadağ district, Manias lakes. Around the Manias lakes, there is a lot of collection activity taking place. And also in we have this lakes region, as we call it in Turkey, the regional lakes. Here you can see them. Here there is this Eğirdir lake, the reed lands of reed beds of Eğirdir and Beysha here can be listed as some of the collection points for the leeches in Turkey. And there is another important wetland over here, which is the Sultan Marshes or Sultan Reedland, reed bed. And number 16 refers to the Beyaz Çeşme marshes on the map, which is also an important collection point, which also corresponds with some sections of this important lake here. Euphrates River, I mean. And here on in number 14, you can see the Beyazıt marshes starting from the Ağrı mountains and extending all the way here. And Lake Putka, neighboring and bordering Georgia. You can see it here in number 15. It's an important collection point. And when we go to the north, to the Black Sea coast, what we see is the Kızılırmak Delta, which discharges water to the sea. Especially we have fresh water here, water bodies with fresh water. And to the south of this delta, we have number 6, which is Yeşilırmak Delta, around the district of Çarşamba. So we know that such a collection takes place in all these distinct locations in Turkey. Well, what about the properties of the habitats of the medicinal leech, you may ask? And I may say in response that, first of all, leech, they need both aquatic and muddy terrestrial habitats. Especially muddy habitats are rich and abundant in organic matters. That's why the leech, they go for these environments. They go for shallow waters, and they also like regions which are partially separated from the main lake, as you can see on the picture on the right-hand side, or they prefer sublacustrine areas, which are partially separated and partially merged with the lakes. And also these regions are rich in macrophytes, as we call them. aquatic plants. And we also see that leeches, they go for regions of water bodies which are rich in macrophytes and also far from the residential areas. And also host diversity and abundance are important factors when it comes to the preferred favorable habitats for the leech. Here you can see a flock of sheep. You know, flock of sheep may visit the rangelands and for grazing, and the water bodies for and wetlands for drinking water from time to time. So once they approach the water bodies, the wetlands, they will make an excellent host for the leeches. And also on the right-hand side, we have the flocks of goats in Turkey. They also are so much important hosts for the leeches. These are important hosts. Again, you can see the flocks of cattle, cows. We had our colleagues from Canada who mentioned cats very well. You know, not just wild cats. You mentioned Felix and other cats, actually. Well, it doesn't matter. Once those animals, wild animals, approach the wetlands, then they will be hosts. And also water buffalo in Turkey. Water buffaloes of Turkey, they also make ideal hosts around the wetlands. So they make really important hosts for the leech.
So I can talk about some other hosts, for example, freshwater fish, especially those which live in shallow areas. So these are important hosts for the leeches. And frogs, representing the amphibians, and the larval heads are very important for the leeches. And when you look at the living environment of the leeches, it's mostly the wetland, but in order for them to leave the cocoons, they need some muddy area that is rich in organic matter. This is what they need. You see a cocoon that is left on the mud, and the juvenile is expected to hatch there. The legal framework for leech hunting in Turkey is as follows. If any individual is interested in catching leech in Turkey, first an application has to be filed with the offices of the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry, because you need a permit, and the permit will be valid for 5 years. And for all leech collection areas, your permit will be applicable. And the operations will be allowed for a period of 5 years, and after 5 years you have to go and deliver your new documents in order to get your permit renewed. And what is the collection technique? There is a basic methodology here. You go into the water by wearing long boots, and then if you walk, if you move, if you touch the water, you create some vibration in water, and you create some waves which are attracting for the leeches. And then the leeches start swimming towards you, or they start swimming freely in the water, and you'll be holding some scoop, some strainer bucket, and then you collect them in it, and you put it in a container that you bring with you to the collection area. There's an important particular regarding collection. If there is dense wetland vegetation in the collection area, first you need to clear it away by using some sign or similar tool. And that's an important facilitating factor for collection. And however, since this is an ecosystem, it is also useful when you think about the hiding habits of the leeches. You see some equipment that is used for leech collection, and on the left hand side you see a man, a collector. After the actual collection, the leeches are put in this plastic container, and you see a funnel that is located at the top of it, and here you see a strainer. It's also made of plastic, and also you need some kind of additional rope or belt by using which you can hang the equipment around your neck. So you don't need so much technical equipment. And the collected leeches are put in bigger containers, and then they are kept in cool, dark corners. And until you contact a buyer, you keep it there. And this is the profile of leech collectors. They are mostly farmers living in wetlands and in the vicinity, the shepherds, fishermen, students, and unemployed people. The cupping makers and leech applicators. Economy of the leech has been already explained by Professor Salam in detail, so I don't want to go into it again, but it's important for me to highlight that the prices of leech in fact differ a lot by the seasons, and there is also variation in demand, and it also depends on the supply, I mean the amount you collect. Of course, leech sizes and the country prices differ as well. For the sake of preservation of natural wild life, you need to have sustainability. And our Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry issued a circular. According to this, there is a 4-month-long leech collection ban. It is applicable from March until June. Since Turkey has rich climatic differences and geographical differences, there are some differences in the reproduction seasons. So maybe this closed season application may be introduced on regional basis. I mean, some fine-tuning or adjustments may be made in the closed season. In fact, those who collect during the closed season, in fact, are fine with about 250 euros. This example is from Eğirdir Lake. The closed season is applied at national scale from March until June. But in September, when you look at the collection activities, you see a high activity. And for the productivity, you see a high activity for 2 more months. And in Bafra, I mean, when you go to the north of Turkey, you see the closed season, the national closed season, but in August and in September, you see increased reproductive activity and also increased leech collection activity. The status of leech populations in Turkey. The universities, research institutes, in fact, occasionally make research and assessments on the leech stocks and medicinal leech populations. And generally speaking, if the habitat is stable and if there is no drying out of the water, normally the population is supposed to be stable and self-sustaining. However, in many water bodies and in many collection areas, we see that the area is narrowing and drying out. Likewise, the animal groups which act as hosts for the leeches when they are not entering into the wetlands, then this is another population problem. Maybe I should also talk about the collection of frogs. Because of frog collection, and since frogs are also host animals, that is another cause of decrease in population. And in order to preserve the natural stocks, what are the measures taken? First of all, there are international measures taken, and CITES declares quotas, and we have already spoken about the quotas. Apart from these, sometimes we can collect the leeches in wetlands, and both the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry and also Ministry of Environment, in fact, act according to certain legislation for taking control measures and rehabilitation measures in those wetlands. But what's the basic problem in Turkey? So let me talk about the basic problems and bottlenecks in the medicinal leech collection activities in Turkey. First of all, there is a severe depletion of the resources. There is drying problem, and also the unique characteristics of the habitats are lost. And the animal farming is also shifting from grazing land activity to closed space activity. And also the leech collectors have no vocational organizations and they have no economic security, and it has an impact on the sustainability. The technical rules about leech collection are either weak or they vary by region. Another problem is that the collected individuals are not in standard size, and that is why when they are put into the market, that creates a great price difference, or the collected animals, I mean the individuals, cannot be sold at all. And for all these reasons, the wholesale prices in fact fluctuate a lot by season and by collection sites. Then what shall we do? Very briefly, I would like to talk about the recommendations as well. First, I have some pictures to share with you. And this is right to the west of Eğirdir Lake. And for medicinal leeches, this is a very important living and collection habitat. That picture was taken 6 or 7 years ago. And here you see this is an optimal and ideal site for the leeches to live. This is an optimal habitat, but you see the drop in the water table and also the impact of the global warming. All these cause the water to dry out and withdraw from the wetland. In fact, not the leeches only, but the other animals can no more live here in this area. So In this case, when since there's a higher demand for the medicinal leeches, and since the natural resources are being depleted, now the leech breeding activity is being emphasized, and we need to emphasize it more and more. If necessary, in certain sites, the populations first must be checked, and then the collections should take place. Some infectious diseases also spreading in human and animal health may be at risk, and that is all another reason to opt for the breeding activity. Preservation of wetlands is quite an important topic. Here you see a picture that was taken during a project. And absolutely, these sites should be preserved. In fact, it is in the Western Anatolia. It is the project was related to lead collection. We need public awareness about the exploitation, use, and collection of the leech. It's also important to know how many leeches should be collected from one resource. So it means that catchable stock sizes should be determined, and the catching activity should be adjusted accordingly. Overexploitation and illegal trade must be taken under control, and also as a protection and management measure. After stock determination, the wetlands should be rented for leech collection, because it will help the leech collectors to commit themselves to the site. And also the closed season application should be reviewed and checked again. To the possible extent, the leech collectors should get organized, and for their own security and for better marketing opportunities, they should get organized. Traditional animal husbandry opportunities should be continued near the wetlands, and leech collectors should strictly comply with the closed season ban. In fact, other speakers frequently mentioned that medicinal leech is not only a medicinal therapy instrument, but the medicinal leeches resource in Turkey may turn into value-added products, and that will help to the further development, sustainability, and the success of this sector. I would like to thank you for your patience. Any questions or contributions will be welcome. Thank you. All the participants, audience, and organizers, I give you my sincere thanks.
Osman, thank you very much for your contribution, for your lecture. So it's very important for leech conservation and protection. Very practical point of view. Maybe some questions. And I have a very short question. Do you think leech collectors need some special education? So what do you do? What do you think?
Teşekkür ederim.
Thank you. Well, maybe not about the technical aspect of this job, but about the importance of the ecosystem, about the services provided, about preservation and protection. Maybe yes. So the leeches that they collect have some meaning regarding the health of others. So about these topics, it's important that they get some education. I think this is necessary. Maybe just the collection operation can be taught in half an hour by practice. But, you know, there is the economic, social, and ethical aspects of this job. So some education will be necessary in order to give those people a certain level of awareness.
Thank you very much for your answer.
Okay, sir.
Now